ba ba ba, ba ba ba, raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, brown copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things. Ba ba ba, ba ba ba. Going to Hilton's and nice Hyatt places, watching my son eat new food with his braces, traveling to England and Sweden in spring. These are a few of my favorite things. When the value's bad, when the plane delays, when I'm feeling rage, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't book a train. That was like the worst creative rhyming attempt in the history of mankind, I think. Alright, everybody. Hi, everybody. DUGROZ here with DUGROZ Reports. I'm going to talk today about my favorite things in the world of points, miles, cashback, travel, etc. The credit card enthusiast space that we are in. So I'm thinking on the redemption side, I'm basically going to talk about the kind of things that I like and my family likes, and the kinds of things that I don't like. If you haven't yet done so, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel. Let's dive in. So I've got an affinity for historical things. I like to see battlefields, old bridges, unique bridges, monuments. You know, if somebody took the time in the 1800s or the early 1900s to make a nice plaque or a nice statue and put it on in a public park or something like that, I can appreciate that. I'd like to see that. As sort of a subset of that, within the last 12 months, I've made a goal of visiting the grave of every president of the United States and every state capitol building. I haven't got very far yet, and just for reference, I have hit the reset button on that. You know, any presidential graves or state capitol buildings that I've toured prior to 2019 don't count. I'm only counting those since I've started in the points and miles journey, basically in my 40s. So I haven't got real far. As for state capitals so far, I've only toured one, and that was Indiana. And then, which is ironic since we just literally drove by the state capital of Iowa. I did tour the state capital of Iowa once, somewhere around 1997 or 1998, but again, we're hitting the reset button on that. And then for presidents, let's see, I saw the grave of the two Harrisons, William Henry Harrison and his grandson Benjamin Harrison, Ohio and Indiana respectively. And then when I was in Virginia in April, I saw the graves of James Madison, James Monroe, and Thomas Jefferson. So our fourth president, fifth president, and third president, respectively. This coming summer, we're going to Washington, D.C., so at a bare minimum, I should see the grave of John F. Kennedy and William Howard Taft, as they are both buried at Arlington National Cemetery, and that's, you know, right across the pond. I'm getting a little sidetracked. So, things that I like, or what are my favorite things with travel, and I'm going to group my whole family in here. So one of the interesting things is, we need to kind of keep the interests of mom, dad, and the 2 kids all in play. And sometimes that can mean finding unique things that fit everyone's needs. Sometimes it can mean catering to one individual and just saying we all have to take our turn getting what we want. As an example, one of my boys really loves bowling. So like anytime we go to a place, he wants to go bowling. So we went bowling when we stayed in a cabin back in October. We went bowling in England. Well, no, technically in Wales, the United Kingdom, in a town called Merthyr Tydfil in Wales. So that's one thing we like to do on vacations. I'm okay with it. I don't object to it. Don't know that I'd pick it, but it makes my son happy, so I'm happy. One of my other sons is a thrill seeker, so he likes tall things, adventurous things. Like he likes zip lining. We've had very few chances to do it. As far as I'm aware, he's only done it at camp. Like he wanted to go up in the tower of the Tower Bridge in London. My other son and my wife didn't, so just the 2 of us went up in that. And let's see, my wife, she likes art, so like the British Museum was a big hit, and antiquities. She likes learning about the lives of people from the past, so like sometimes that goes together. So like if I'm interested in a dead president or something like that, you know, I'll like the political aspect, she'll like the everyday life aspect. You know, what was life like on the plantation? What was it like for the president's wife? What was it like for the household servants or slaves? Those kind of things. And, you know, old needlework and antiquities and old books, those kind of things are right up her alley. As a couple, we really like serene environments. So we're not party animals at all. We like in Wales, you know, looking off the balcony, just watching the sheep on the sheep farm, listening to the calm wind blowing in the trees. My wife really likes open places, like sweeping vistas. So she likes being looking out over Lake Michigan or Lake Superior or the ocean. Actually, we did a boat ride in Sweden, one on the canal and one on the ocean. We did a boat ride in the North Woods of Wisconsin back in 2022, and those were both big hits. So even though I've only got a sample size of 2, I think as a family a boat ride is a good choice. I also did a boat ride in Pensacola, Florida, but that was all by myself, and I liked that too. And that was a boat ride to go see a Civil War fort, so we checked 2 boxes there. I like museums to a degree, although I actually prefer like the small, lesser attended museums more than the big, everybody knows it kind of museum. Don't get me wrong, I like the British Museum, but even more than that, I liked this place we went to that was called the Naval College in UK, which in this vernacular, college basically means like a place where sailors are trained, and it also housed injured sailors. And it goes back to like the 1600s or 1700s. I like touring an old cathedral in Hereford in the UK. That was cool. So like Gothic buildings, buildings from Norman times, buildings from the Renaissance or medieval times. That's all really cool. Now obviously we don't have a lot of that here in the United States, but buildings from colonial times are pretty cool. Or anything from before like a state was founded. Like I saw the first territorial capital of Missouri, and that fascinated me. That would have been from like the early 1800s. Obviously Thomas Jefferson's home, James Monroe's home, these are all from pre-1850. Those are things that I like. So I like American history quite a lot. in case you're not picking up on that. Battlefields I'm okay with. Pretty good. And something that I really like is where city meets country. Like, I don't necessarily want to be 2 hours away from the nearest gas station or hike out into, the wilderness of Utah, something like that. But if there's a state park or a national park or something like that that's close to civilization, that's pretty cool. I like hiking, but I'm not an intense hiker. I'm a leisure hiker. I'll go at a slow rate. I mean, I'll be honest, I've got your stereotypical dad bod, so I'm not exactly built for extreme sports or anything like that. So, yeah, there's always a balance we're trying to find in our travels. Things like, a mid-scale hotel, not bottom of the barrel, doesn't have to be super fancy, just somewhere in the middle where all your amenities are met. You've got your beds, a bed for mom and dad, 2 separate beds for the kids. People kind of have their own space. That's a big deal. That's kind of important to me. I don't need to be pampered, but I do like to have things provided, like breakfast and those kind of things. Don't get me wrong, some pampering here and there is pretty nice. And one of my boys really likes the feeling of bouginess or being upscale. Castles would be cool, although I've only seen one so far in my one real castle in my life. I've been to maybe a simulated castle or something like that before. White Castle. Yeah, the real one I saw was in Wales. Anyhow, generally we're not into live music, and I will give a few caveats. What I don't like is live music where, you go to some restaurant on the beach and at 7 o'clock, they feel the need for some local wannabe musician to come and pretend to be Bob Dylan and caterwaul into the microphone with poor quality. I find about 85% of live music, the kind that's provided for free or with something else, to be just a turn-off. Don't care for it. A couple exceptions would be like, if somebody's nicely playing a classical guitar, even if it's like, some nice oldies or pop hits, those kind of things, I'm okay with that. Or like a symphony. So like the Des Moines Symphony, the London Symphony, that I'd be cool with. And I would like to experience some actual, like, jazz. Like if I go to Memphis or New Orleans, well, I am going to New Orleans this coming fall, I'd like to experience, like, an actual, like, jazz cafe, but I want it to be a good one, like with the best of the best, not just, some guy on the street playing a guitar with a bucket in front of him. So, live music's not a big deal, drinking's not a big deal, we don't gamble, gambling's not a big deal, we're kind of, some people call us sticks in the mud, I suppose, but there's so many things to see in this world other than those kind of things. But that shapes and to a degree limits our travel, but limit's not a good word. More like it helps hone our travel more than anything. Let's see, what else can I talk about that I like in travel? Not always, but I often like renting a car, so I'm kind of in control of my own destiny. If I drive by a scenic cemetery, even if it's not on the agenda, I'll just stop for 30 minutes. Well, you can't do that in an Uber. I also like getting outside of the city, which makes Uber a lot harder. So when we go to Washington, D.C., probably like the last 3 days when we go to Mount Vernon or something like that, I'm going to have to rent a car. We like to build in rest and recovery days. So like we might go, see things, museums, historical landmarks, do stuff for 2 or 3 days, and then on the 3rd and 4th day we'll just have a download day where we just hang out at the motel, maybe go to a nearby low attraction, like tour a church or something, where we don't have to drive very far, take naps in the afternoon, those kind of things. So let me know what you think. Don't know if this is going to be members only or public. If it's not members only, please subscribe to the channel. and consider becoming a DUGROZ Diehard. That's a member for only $3 a month. And as always, may your spending be frugal, and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.